creating distance and setting boundaries are often misunderstood as acts of fear, pride, or rejection, but in reality, they are acts of obedience and wisdom. God does not always instruct you to confront, explain, or expose. Many times, His direction is simpler and quieter: step back. Boundaries are not walls meant to punish others. They are filters meant to protect what is sacred. When God calls you to create space, it is not because you are weak. It is because what you carry is valuable. Chosen ones often feel pressure to justify their decisions. They feel obligated to explain why access has changed or why closeness feels different. But obedience does not require permission. Wisdom does not demand approval. God is concerned when His people remain in unhealthy proximity simply to avoid discomfort or misunderstanding. Peace is more important than maintaining appearances. Distance allows clarity. When someone's influence is removed, even temporarily, you can observe more clearly how their presence affected you. You begin to notice how much lighter your spirit feels, how your thoughts are less cluttered, and how prayer becomes more focused. This is not coincidence. God uses separation to restore perspective. Noise fades and truth becomes easier to hear. Boundaries also reveal fruit. When you limit access, true intentions surface. Those who are aligned will respect your space and continue to support you without manipulation. Those who are misaligned may react with offense, guilt, or pressure. Their response often confirms what discernment already revealed. God does not expose people through arguments. He exposes them through reactions. Obedience through distance is often silent. There is no announcement, no explanation, no confrontation. You simply change patterns. You reduce availability. You protect time, energy, and focus. This kind of obedience requires maturity because it resists the urge to prove yourself right. God is concerned not with who understands your decision, but with whether you follow His direction. Boundaries also protect timing. Some people are not evil. They are simply not meant to have access right now. Distance preserves relationships from unnecessary conflict while still honoring discernment. God is teaching you that love does not always look like closeness. Sometimes love looks like restraint. Fear-driven distance isolates. Wisdom-driven distance stabilizes. One comes from panic, the other from peace. When God leads you to step back, there is a quiet assurance, not anxiety. You may feel sadness, but not confusion. That emotional clarity is confirmation that the boundary is right. God is not removing people to punish them. He is repositioning you to prepare you. Boundaries are bridges to the next season. They create room for growth, clarity, and divine alignment. When you obey by creating space, you are not losing anything essential. What is meant to stay will remain without forcing itself. What is not meant to stay will fade without drama. This kind of obedience protects your future without destroying your character. It keeps your heart clean while your path stays clear. And when the time comes, you will look back and realize that distance was not loss. It was preservation. Not everyone who stands close to you is meant to walk with you into your future. Proximity does not equal alignment, and familiarity does not guarantee loyalty. This is one of the hardest truths for chosen ones to accept, because the most dangerous opposition is rarely loud or obvious. It often hides behind comfort, shared history, and repeated access. Some people remain near not because they are assigned to your destiny, but because your destiny benefits them in some way. There are individuals who attach themselves to what God is doing in your life, not out of reverence, but out of interest. They are drawn to the potential, the favor, the influence, and the doors opening around you. While they may not openly resist you, their presence carries a subtle weight that slows momentum. They watch your progress closely, not to celebrate it, but to measure themselves against it. God is concerned because such alignment is transactional, not covenant. Chosen ones often struggle here because they value loyalty and depth. You remember who was there in earlier seasons, who supported you when resources were limited, and who shared your struggles. But seasons change and spiritual assignments shift. Someone who was safe in one season may become misaligned in another. This does not make them evil, but it does make continued closeness unwise. Growth demands reevaluation. Some people stay near you because they benefit from your clarity, your strength, or your insight, yet they resist growing themselves. They lean on you emotionally or spiritually while quietly resenting your advancement. Over time, their words begin to carry subtle doubt. Their encouragement becomes conditional. Their support feels inconsistent. God is concerned because prolonged exposure to misalignment can blur your own discernment. There are also those who appear supportive publicly but are passive privately. They agree outwardly but undermine inwardly. They encourage you to slow down, be realistic, or not rush things, disguising their discomfort as wisdom. But discernment reveals motive. God sees when advice is rooted in fear, comparison, or self-preservation rather than genuine care. Alignment with destiny requires shared values, not just shared space. Someone can pray with you, laugh with you, and still not be assigned to your next level. Chosen ones must learn that access is earned through fruit, not time. God is not asking you to accuse or reject people harshly. He is asking you to observe patterns, weigh influence, and protect clarity. Distance is not betrayal when it is guided by wisdom. Creating space does not mean you lack love. It means you value purpose. God is concerned because what you carry is sensitive and not every environment sustains it. Some people drain vision while pretending to support it. When alignment is real, peace increases. When alignment is false, confusion follows. God is simply making you aware that not everyone close to you is meant to stay close. This awareness is not meant to harden your heart, but to guard it so that the right people can walk with you into what is next. Spiritual discernment rarely announces itself with noise. It does not shout or force attention. Instead, it speaks through subtle internal signals that are easy to ignore if you are not attentive. One of the clearest ways discernment communicates is through a disturbance of peace. When something is right, there is a settled calm even in uncertainty. When something is wrong, confusion begins to creep in, often without an obvious reason. God uses this inner response as an early warning system. Many chosen ones struggle here because they have been taught to distrust their feelings. They are told that discomfort equals fear or weakness. But spiritual discernment is not emotion-driven. It is spirit-led. The unease you feel is not panic, it is perception. It is your spirit recognizing misalignment before your mind has enough information to explain it. God is concerned when this signal is ignored, because what begins as discomfort can become distraction if left unchecked. Loss of peace is often the first indicator that an influence is unhealthy. You may notice that after certain conversations, your thoughts become scattered. You replay words in your mind. You question decisions that once felt clear. This is not coincidence. Peace is a guardrail. When it is disturbed, it is meant to slow you down and invite reflection, not guilt or self-doubt. Discernment also reveals itself through emotional draining. Some interactions leave you feeling heavy, tired, or strangely unsettled, even when nothing negative was openly said. This is not about personality differences. It is about spiritual impact. God allows you to feel the effect of a presence so you can evaluate it honestly. Energy depletion is often a sign that something is being taken rather than given. Confusion is another key signal. God's direction may challenge you, but it will not confuse you. When confusion increases after guidance from a person, it is a sign that their voice may be interfering with clarity rather than supporting it. God is not the author of confusion, and discernment alerts you when clarity is being compromised. Many people override these signals because they fear being misunderstood, appearing unkind, or disrupting relationships. But discernment is not judgment, it is protection. Ignoring inner warnings does not preserve peace, it sacrifices it slowly. God is concerned because prolonged exposure to what disturbs peace can numb sensitivity over time. Spiritual discernment must be honored before it is fully understood. Often, you will receive the signal before you receive the explanation. This requires trust. Trust that God communicates through your spirit. Trust that peace is not a luxury, but a necessity for obedience. When you honor discernment early, you avoid greater disruption later. These signals are not meant to isolate you from people, but to guide you toward healthy alignment. When peace is restored, clarity returns. When clarity returns, confidence strengthens. God uses discomfort not to frighten you, but to guide you away from what could quietly derail you. Discernment is not a curse, it is a gift, and it becomes sharper the more you listen. Hidden influence is far more dangerous than open opposition because it works quietly, patiently, and often unnoticed. When an enemy announces himself, you know how to respond. You prepare, you defend, you pray with clarity. But when resistance disguises itself as support, it lowers your guard. That is why subtle opposition is one of the most effective tools used against those who carry purpose. Open opposition challenges you from the outside, but hidden influence works from within. It does not confront your calling directly, it slowly erodes your confidence in it. It does not tell you to stop, it convinces you to delay. It does not attack loudly, it questions softly. Over time, these quiet suggestions begin to sound like your own thoughts. God is concerned because influence that feels familiar can bypass discernment if you are not alert. This kind of influence often comes from someone who appears reasonable, calm, and well, meaning their words sound logical, their concerns seem valid. They rarely say anything outright negative, yet after repeated conversations, your clarity weakens. You begin to second-guess decisions that once felt settled in prayer. Momentum slows, not because God withdrew direction, but because doubt was subtly introduced. Hidden opposition thrives on access. The closer someone is, the more weight their words carry. When someone consistently speaks into your life, their perspective can shape your perception without you realizing it. God is concerned not because one comment is harmful, but because repeated exposure compounds influence. Over time, it can redirect focus, alter priorities, and blur spiritual sensitivity. This influence is dangerous because it rarely looks hostile. It comes wrapped in concern. I'm just being honest. It hides behind caution. I just don't want you to get hurt. It masks itself as wisdom. Are you sure now is the right time? While discernment listens, it also tests. God is warning you because not every cautious voice is protective. Some are limiting. Open enemies reveal themselves through resistance. Hidden opposition reveals itself through fruit. Watch the aftermath of interactions. Do you feel strengthened or diminished, clear or confused, encouraged or hesitant? God often exposes subtle opposition, not by exposing the person, but by revealing the effect of their presence on your spirit. This type of influence rarely intends immediate destruction. Its goal is delay obedience, delay growth, delay courage. And delayed obedience can cost just as much as disobedience. God is concerned because time matters. Seasons are sensitive. Missed moments cannot always be recovered. Chosen ones must learn that not everyone who speaks calmly speaks truth. And not everyone who agrees with you is for you. Spiritual warfare is not always dramatic. It is often conversational. It happens in casual comments, repeated doubts, and quiet resistance disguised as care. This warning is not meant to make you defensive, but discerning. God is calling you to filter voices, guard access, and protect momentum. When you limit hidden influence, clarity returns, peace strengthens, direction sharpens, and what once felt heavy begins to move forward again because hidden opposition loses power the moment it is recognized. This warning is not born out of imagination, anxiety, or emotional sensitivity. It is not the result of overthinking or past wounds resurfacing. When God speaks in the form of a warning, it carries clarity, weight, and purpose. This is not a casual impression. It is a deliberate alert meant to protect what has been entrusted to you. Chosen ones must understand that divine warnings do not come randomly. Heaven does not interrupt your focus unless something significant is at stake. Many people dismiss early spiritual nudges because they don't come with dramatic signs. They expect thunder, dreams every night, or public confirmation. But most warnings arrive quietly, almost gently, because they are meant to be received by those who are attentive. God often speaks through a sense of unease, a repeated thought that refuses to leave, or a disturbance of peace that once existed. These signals are not fear-based, they are awareness-based. There is a difference between paranoia and discernment. Paranoia creates suspicion without evidence. Discernment reveals truth before evidence becomes visible. This warning is not telling you to accuse, attack, or confront anyone. It is simply inviting you to see what you may have overlooked. When God warns, He is not saying that danger has already won. He is saying there is still time to act wisely. You may have noticed that this concern keeps returning even when you try to pray it away. That is because warnings are not meant to be silenced. They are meant to be understood. The persistence of this message is proof that it is not emotional but intentional. God is drawing your attention to something that could affect your spiritual focus, emotional health, or future decisions if left unaddressed. Often divine warnings arrive before consequences do. That is grace. God speaks early so damage can be avoided. He reveals concern before confusion deepens, before compromise becomes normalized, before influence turns into control. What feels uncomfortable now would feel destructive later if ignored. This is why the warning feels urgent yet calm, clear but not chaotic. You are not being singled out because you are weak. You are being addressed because you are trusted. Warnings are given to those who can carry responsibility. God does not warn everyone. He warns those whose future holds weight. This alert is not about fear of people, but awareness of purpose. Something valuable is forming in you, and it requires protection. If this were a random thought, it would fade. If this were insecurity, it would fluctuate. But this warning remains steady, returning with clarity rather than emotion. That consistency is the mark of divine instruction. God is inviting you to slow down, observe more closely, and rely less on surface appearances. You are not imagining this. You are being guided. This warning is not meant to isolate you, but to sharpen you. It is not meant to produce suspicion, but wisdom. And when you respond with prayer, patience, and obedience, clarity will follow, because God never warns without also providing direction. This warning is not rooted in suspicion or negativity. It is rooted in protection. God does not raise alarms without purpose, and He does not guard what is insignificant. The very fact that this warning exists is proof that your calling carries weight and your next season carries responsibility. God is concerned because what is ahead of you requires clarity, strength, and undivided focus. There is an elevation coming that demands protection before it is fully revealed. Every new level brings new exposure. As influence increases, access must be managed more carefully. What was harmless in a smaller season can become dangerous in a greater one. God is preparing you for increased responsibility, and part of that preparation is learning how to guard your inner circle. This warning is not about the present alone, it is about what is coming next. Promotion in the spiritual sense is not just about blessing, it is about stewardship. God entrusts more only when He knows it will be handled wisely. This is why protection often precedes manifestation. Before doors open publicly, adjustments happen privately. God is refining discernment now so that future decisions will be made with confidence, not confusion. This warning is also about preserving momentum. Delay is one of the enemy's most effective strategies against chosen ones. Not by stopping them outright, but by slowing them subtly. God is concerned because prolonged distraction can cause missed timing. Some opportunities require immediate obedience, and clarity is essential for that obedience. Protecting focus now ensures readiness later. There is also a deeper level of influence coming, impact that goes beyond personal success. What God is preparing you for will affect others. That is why interference cannot be tolerated. Misaligned voices can distort message, tone, or direction. God is safeguarding not just you, but those who will be reached through you. This protection may feel isolating at first, but it is actually aligning. As certain connections fade, others will emerge. People who match your values, respect your boundaries, and support your growth without competition. God removes friction so acceleration can happen. He creates space so the right relationships can fill it. Chosen ones often underestimate the importance of emotional and spiritual safety. God does not. He knows that weariness, confusion, and inner conflict can quietly drain effectiveness. This warning is an act of care. It is God saying, what you carry matters too much to leave unguarded. You are not being set apart to be lonely. You are being positioned to be effective. Protection is not restriction, it is preparation. When the next season arrives, you will walk into it lighter, clearer, and stronger because unnecessary weight was removed beforehand. This warning is evidence that God is invested in your future. He is not reacting to failure, He is preventing it. And as you respond with obedience, trust, and discernment, you will step into what is next with confidence, knowing that what God has prepared is protected by His wisdom long before it is revealed.